Hello, it's me. Hope you guys have been well. I just want to start by saying thank you for the positive responses from the last video. It's very nice to hear some of your guys' opinions and thoughts on what we were talking about. And I'm glad that it seems to have been helpful. I honestly don't ever really know if these talks really help you guys or anything, but I'm glad that it seems to. I'm just kind of blurting out my thoughts into the microphone, so I don't really know if it's helpful, but it's nice to see that you guys think so. So yeah, thank you again. Today though, I just wanted to I guess it's also a little bit for me where I kind of want to organize my own thoughts a little bit, because I've been thinking a lot about what my voice as an artist is and how that may have changed over time, or how I kind of ended up with whatever vision or direction I have now, because it's honestly a very confusing topic, at least for me. I feel like a lot of the things I talk about on my channels are always confusing things, but I think just naturally as a person, I'm always thinking about things like this. So I just can't help it, honestly. But I think that for me, it is important stuff to think about. And I think, especially in relation to my art, it's pretty much one of the most important things. I think now more than ever, as I kind of feel like I have more of a grasp on what my vision and voice I want my art to have. I think it's important that I kind of try to pin it down a little more so that I can make work that I feel like encapsulates that as best as I possibly can. Because it may not have been the case before, but I think now I have found that space and comfort. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but I feel like it's the right time for me to kind of be more personal with what I'm doing. Personal in the sense that I kind of instill my work with more of myself, like in the themes, experiences, my likes and dislikes, things like that, rather than having more of a focus on what other people may want to see out of my work. I think I want to push it more towards what I would like it to be, while still having some of that balance, because I think if I push it too far into what I personally would like to do with it, it may get lost in translation, which art being a form of communication would be not necessarily a failure, but it would feel a bit like a missed opportunity, in my opinion. It's kind of interesting though, because I feel like maybe somewhere along the line I kind of forgot how to do that, because in my high school days I feel like there were times where I was very able to kind of just do things for me, where I would use art as more of a form of self expression than just something to make cool or pretty art, which I feel like was a big focus of mine even in the past 5 years. And only now am I kind of rediscovering that part of myself and my relation with my work. And it feels right, more right than what I have been doing in more recent times. And when I think about it, I think that what kind of pushed me away from that was kind of my need or want for other people to pay attention to me. Sounds a little pathetic, but I think at some point in our lives we want to feel noticed or to get validation from those around us. And I think that for me, that kind of desire took shape in my approach to art changing, because it felt like that was one of the few things that I knew people would pay attention to. But now that I feel more secure in other aspects of my life, I don't feel like I have to really do that anymore, especially through my art. Maybe in some ways in other things I do, but at least with my art making, I think I've been doing it so long, and I feel like I've kind of found things that I can do that I like, and that luckily other people like as well, where I don't feel as if I have to do what other people would want me to do in that area. And I think even if people did not like it, I think I would still try my best at the very least to do it my own way, because I'm kind of stubborn in general, and I don't necessarily like doing things the way other people do it or expect me to do it. So I think, nevertheless, I would still end up doing it my way. But apart from that, I would still like to find a balance between the two sides of doing it for me and doing it for others, because there is value in both of those. And I think for me, finding the balance would be the kind of ideal that I want to chase. And I don't want it to seem like I came to this realization all on my own, because it really was this kind of convergence of small events over a long period of time that helped me kind of form this image, vision, and relationship I have with my work. All the times that I tried something new and I liked it. All the times that I tried something new and I didn't like it. And then I think just putting my work out there, seeing people's reactions to those things that I tried, whether or not they succeeded or failed, and then taking their responses to it to heart, but also at the same time still trusting that for some areas in either my technique or my subject matter, that my tastes or the way I wanted to do things was right, and not being so focused on solely external opinions and letting those kind of form what my art is for me. Again, it's important to take those into consideration, but at the same time, there is some amount of trust in yourself you have to be able to decide what's right for you and your work. Because then at some point, if you're a little too loose with it and you let others influence what you do with your art, then it stops being your own. Like for me, especially right now, I'm experimenting a lot with much darker, both in subject matter and just visually, pieces, and less kind of dramatic and, well, there's still a little dramatic, but a little less eye-catching in a way. I used to do very dramatic lighting and very poppy colors, but I think right now I'm much more invested in exploring much more subtle and darker and a little more like quiet pieces where it feels a little like a glimpse into an intimate moment with the characters that I'm depicting. And if I were to base my whether or not that would be a good decision based on what I see other people doing and what I see is popular or doing well, especially on like social media, I don't think what I do right now would necessarily be considered a good choice. But I think that is also a bit of a good thing because it's not typical. I don't want to like kind of sound pretentious, but people have told me that my work looks quite unique. I'm glad they think that, but I don't know if that's true. But it's definitely not the norm, I think. Because I'm not actively trying to make it so. I mean, I think no matter what I do, my work will look different because of the fact that I'm colorblind. So I won't necessarily be able to do colors like other people, but at the same time, that's something that I have found ways to turn into a strength of mine. I used to agonize over not being able to do color like other people, but I think somewhere along the way, and with a lot of encouragement from others, I have found that I don't have to do that. And the way I do colors and just other parts of my art making don't have to be like other people. And I think that's something that every artist should kind of give some thought. Ever since I started giving it more thought, I think I have developed as an artist a lot more than in the past, and I really feel like I'm proud of what I make now. I really am. It's it's weird to say that because I think oh, getting a little emotional, sorry. But I think for a long time I did not really feel like I could say that. Um I just felt like I couldn't do things the way I wanted, and I couldn't do things the way other people wanted, but I think that's kind of where I went wrong. where I don't have to do that. And I don't think any artist really has to do that either. I think that artists should let more of themselves show through in their work, in the sense that they should let their own life, their experiences, the things they like, the things they dislike, their viewpoint on the world, things like that. I think they should let it show through more in what they make, if that's something that they want to do. And even if they may not think that, I think it's something important to consider. And if you are an artist yourself and you feel like your work is not feeling like it's you, or doesn't feel unique, it may be a good time to kind of explore that part of yourself in your relationship with your work. Because if you let yourself, or if you put more of yourself into your work, it will inevitably be unique, because every person is unique. No two people will have the same exact personality, same life experiences, same view of the world. So naturally, if you let that shine through in what you make, then it'll be unique. It'll be, there will be times where it'll be rough to kind of do that. I've definitely gone through that as well, where it feels like you don't know how to do that, or even if you're trying, it's not necessarily resonating with people. But I think that's where finding the balance between doing things your way and presenting them in a way that's digestible to others is important. But if you value making your art feel like it's uniquely yours, then exploring how to do that with, I think exploring how to instill more of yourself in what you make is something that you should do. For example, with how I make things now, it's gonna sound kind of silly, but I really just go off of vibes. If it doesn't feel right, it's literally, if it doesn't feel right to me, then I will keep changing until it does. And I will try my best not to let the outside world kind of influence that too much, so that it has the space to feel like it's my work. And even if it's a little less typical, or it, in terms of subject matter, it's not necessarily something people may really resonate or want to engage with, I will still try and pursue it, because it feels more right if I do. This piece that I'm working on right now is one of those things. I was going through kind of a rough patch around this time, and I just felt like I needed to put it out on paper, quote unquote paper. And after the fact, I think it's a very simple piece, but I think it's probably one of the most meaningful things I've made in a long time. And I think it was important that I do that, because after this, honestly, I feel like it's been a lot easier for me to kind of let myself go in terms of being a little more personal and like intimate with my work. And I think it's really showing through with what I've made recently, even after this. And again, I'm very happy that I was able to do that. It was a little, not necessarily scary to kind of put it out, but to be so vulnerable with one of my pieces and then to put it out there. It was definitely a bit uncomfortable, but I would do it again, and I hopefully am able to continue doing that. I think it's definitely changed things for me ever since. But yeah, I think if she would like to explore ways to create more unique work, I think it's important to do some digging and thinking into yourself and what you want to say with what you make. And it doesn't have to be anything super complicated or deep or revolutionary. My work is just sadness or just how I feel or have felt in the past, and things that have happened to me that I feel like I want to kind of vent out in a way. Like, it's not really anything super special, I think, but just thinking about what do you like, what do you not like. Do you like very bright colors, more muted colors? Do you resonate more with very lively scenes or more quiet stuff like me? Like action scenes, party scenes, or just sitting at the park, relaxing? Do you want to express your thoughts on your life or your emotions? Or do you just want to kind of just make fun stuff? It can be either. But I think knowing, not necessarily concretely, but just having a fairly good idea of which of those things you resonate with and want to kind of show people, I think is important. And if you are able to do that, your work will inevitably be more unique than if you didn't. Because again, that combination of things will be yours. There will be other people and artists who have similar combinations, but I think it will still feel different no matter what. Because unless you're trying to specifically copy what someone else is doing, then no matter what you do, your work will still feel different. And that difference is what makes everyone's art beautiful. So don't ever feel like what you do, even if it's not typical or it's quote unquote too different, don't ever feel like that's a bad thing. Well, I feel like I have rambled a little long enough. And I think I have organized my thoughts a little better. Thank you for listening. um, Again, if you have any thoughts or anything to say about whatever I've said here today, please feel free to leave a comment. I do read them, every single one. I may not reply, but I do read them, and I'm very appreciative that you guys are adding to the conversation, because I love hearing what other people have to say about these things. And I think it's important to listen. But yeah, take care. Good luck on all of your art journeys, and hopefully you will be able to find your way. Okay, I will see you guys soon.